Hey there, hobby homesteaders. Welcome back to Peaks Peak. Today, we're adjusting the parking brake on our BX23S. Now, what you're going to need to do this project is two 14mm wrenches and a 21mm socket and your tool of choice to remove the lug nuts on your wheels. And I also use a tape measure to measure the slack in the pedal. So the travel on this pedal, when it is actually adjusted correctly, is supposed to be between 1 inch and 1.5 inches before it starts to apply the brake. And our travel or our play in our brake right now is 2 inches. So we're not way out of adjustment, but we're gonna go ahead and tighten that up so we can show you guys the process. Now guys, I'll go ahead and tell you, if you have fluid-filled tires, it is much easier to raise the back end of your tractor with your backhoe because you can use your outriggers to slowly lower your tractor into position and get it right so that it's easy to put your heavy tire back on when you take it off. But I have my backhoe disconnected because I was doing some other things and getting ready to mow the yard, so I'm just going to use a floor jack today, and I'll have to break my back to try to get the tire back on, but we'll live. All right, we got our 21mm socket. We got a jack stand under the frame. This turnbuckle right here is what adjusts our parking brake. So we need to loosen that jam nut, and then we'll tighten that turnbuckle up and check our relief on the pedal and see how it works. Get our jam nut loose. Give yourself a little bit of room there. Now, let's tighten our turnbuckle. Now, if you'll notice the paint marks on here, that is my mark so that I know whether I've turned it a full turn, because that's going to come into play here in a few minutes. So, we're going to tighten this down. All right, let's go check our play. Our pedal sits at about 9 1/4 height. And actually we've got about 3/4 of an inch of movement. So we can go a little tighter. All right. That is about a 1/2 inch of play. We've got her set on a 1/2 inch of play right now, but we're not finished. What you do to adjust this pedal, the process is you tighten that turnbuckle until you have a 1/2 inch of play, and then you back it off 1 full turn. And that's why the mark is important, because you can tell how far you've turned it. So we'll back it off 1 turn, and that should put us in the 1 to 1.5 inch mark at range for play, and that's what we want it to be set at. So we're gonna back her off 1 full turn. We've got our paint mark right there. So we just bring that back around, and you flip your wrench. You can get about 1/2 of a wrench turn each time. So you just flip your wrench back and forth. And there is our whole turn. So we'll go check our pedal play, make sure it's right, and then we'll tighten our jam nut. All right, let's test our pedal play. That puts us right at 1 inch. That's exactly where we want to be. That's the tightest side of the measurements, 1 to 1.5 inches. It's actually 1 to 1.4 inches in the manual. So, page 131 of the manual, adjusting the brake pedal. So, you've got, here are your instructions. So, hold our turnbuckle and we tighten her down. We are jammed up. here's the part I'm dreading. These heavy tires. Man, that should allow us. I'll show you. I lowered the jack and got one stud on so that I can now swivel this around onto it. And it's not just terrible, but it's heavy enough that I'm not man enough to be horsing it around. We'll throw a torque wrench on. And the torque setting on the back tires, back wheels, is 80 pounds and the front is 110. So making sure they're at least that tight is what I always do. Now just remember, when you're making this adjustment to tighten your pedal, you are shortening the turnbuckle or tightening the turnbuckle to take the slack out of the pedal movement. And then when you take your one turn off, you're going to actually extend it back out one whole turn. Now guys, all of this information is right there in the manual that's on the back of the seat of your tractor. But if you're like me, a lot of times the first place you go is YouTube, because you can see it in action. If I see somebody do it, it helps me to understand what's going on. And so that's why I like to share these videos. But I'm no rocket scientist. If I can do it, you can do it too. So hope this helps somebody out. I appreciate y'all watching. Y'all have a good day. Crank that soldier boy. No wheelies. No wheelies.